corn flowing today. Pulling out of the 3 wet bins. And then our 60,000 bushel bin. So I'm pulling out of the 3 wet bins. I've had to turn the sweep on one bin. So this corn's not been dried, we've just run some air on it. Pulling from this bin, which is a 36-foot 9-ring. It's a 22,000 bushel bin. Pulling from this bin, which is our primary wet holder. It's 15,000 bushels, but I'm also pulling from this bin, and it's 15,000 bushels. I'll show you a little where they connect. Kind of seen it before. So by the time we blend, we've been coming out like 15%. When we pull out of all 3 bins together, which works out great. So I'll be turning the sweep on. I've already pulled the tunnels. And the tunnels, what we do, I'll show you about that. So the gate, you will shut this and shut the gate. You can kind of see how that works. Well, with this pin out, this doesn't move and only the inside moves. With the pin in, it pulls this out and that runs your tunnels. And right now we're going to work on getting the sweep uncovered. Now when we get our sweep uncovered, this is our outer door. Not much to it. Then we have our inner door. This goes over center. It's built so the bin can't separate. The grain bin, when it's full, has a lot of pressure, tries to separate. So the door, as you can see, when they leave the ring out, it's braced up. Now these doors came from Conrad bins. They didn't come with these bins. You can kind of see we've added 3 rings to the bottom of this bin. Actually, all these bins. See, we're showing. Time to move. A little bit different time in this because of having 3 unloads. Sometimes it goes a little faster than you would think. It doesn't take long, and then the sweep will be uncovered. Now to engage the sweep, we turn our motor off and we pull on this here. That will engage our sweep. Power sweep, we got those in 2011. Was the first time for a power sweep for us, and they're really a game changer. You leave them in the bin. We now have all but I think 2 that are all power sweeps. I grew up on just the old throw-in sweep. You know, you throw it in, and for a 36-foot bin, we had one. You unbolted the end and put it in the 30-foot bin, and the same for 24s that we had. It was just a way to do it and not spend a lot on it, but now we, like I said, power sweeps in every bin. Whoa! Okay, we're in the back. Now we have all soak-up power sweeps. We kind of, when we first built, Brian and I, when we built our first bin in 2011, it was a soak-up bin. We're kind of in rock country, so it's a little unusual, but we like the quality of the soak-ups. Really like the dryer we have from them, 2413 mixed flow. So we've actually built 3 soak-up bins, a dryer, and we've done, I believe, 9 power sweeps with them. We've now pulled from all of our bins, including we did some coring as well. We don't have any issues in any of them, which is kind of a nice feeling. Some years you do, some years you don't. Oh, at harvest, they had terrible basis. Price was down, and I mean, it was tough at harvest. Any bushels that you could store, you wanted to store them. Well, now the basis has returned, the price has recovered. So we lost last year on the bins some going into summer, but we definitely have done well putting grain in the bins. Now as we top up, I've got to time this. I usually come over and shut the main wet bin off first. Shut this off right here on the frequency drive. Now we're only pulling off this one bin. Better go move this before we get corn on the ground. That wouldn't be a good thing. Our cross auger, it's just right here in the box. There you can see our sweep. It's been uncovered. You set the ball out here, and that engages it. There we go, guys. We're sweeping. Now it has a gearbox in the center. The rod I pulled just simply engages the gearbox down there. The motor runs the auger underneath the floor, goes to a gearbox that runs this auger. So your same motor right here, by spinning this shaft, is going all the way in the bin and turn this sweep. I had to hop in and unstick it. It was stuck to the floor. But there we go. We are sweeping the bin. So we had to empty until the center stops running. Then we do our sweep tunnels to uncover our sweep. We then let the sweep auger run all the way around. And what's left at the bottom, we get in with the shovel and the brooms and finish cleaning the bin. Shut it off. There's a lot left in the piston. It's a timing thing. Started the day off and actually wasn't any lines again. Thought everybody's sleeping on Monday morning, I guess, right? Down I see 5 loads for this truck, so that means the other one I have the same. We'll have 10 loads in, and it's 1 o'clock.
New combine, just to learn and adapt to. Use a different corn planter this year.
Our red semi's down. It blew an airbag, and then the power divider was leaking. Now we slowed this one down. It would overrun in our wet corn. So it has a sprocket and a chain, and it's down in this gearbox here. There. Anyway, you can change the sprocket to slow the sweep down, and we did that. So we customized our sweeps for our wet bins. The wet corn was pulling too hard when you have the sweep with the regular sprocket, so we did a slowdown, which is just simply buying a sprocket. I believe it had an inch shaft. We did 3 of them that way. So we have to sweep these bins out when it's warm and it's in harvest. If we're going to switch to beans or be rained out for a few days, we will take this down to the floors right there. And you can see we've got a perforated air floor. These sweeps are generally leave a little along the wall, so we'll get in and we'll scoot this back away. But when we get done, we'll let it just go around and make sure we get as much of this as we can. Then we'll come in and we're going to pull off the wall, run it again, pull it on in, run it again, and just kind of do a process like that. When we've got 3 bins running, you want to walk around, just make sure everything's going okay. Nothing big to it. Starting to question whether this wet bin here is running. It's probably going to have to open the sweep tunnels on it next. We're actually showing pretty bad. All right. shut the tunnels, or shut the center sump. We'll go back and grab the tunnels. That'll open the sweep tunnel and start. So this particular bin was a reed bin, and you can see where we've jacked it up and added some rings to the bottom. This bin, it was a mistake, but the door was put in the bottom. So this bin was trying to separate. Bottom ring was bad, so we took the bottom ring out, junked the door, bought a Conrad door. Now to get this right, it had to be up a little higher than we wanted. That saved us from buying extra rings, so that's kind of the story on the door being higher. Come in and get some vice grips. The little piece that opens the sweep tunnels is not there. So we'll go fix that with some vice grips. I think that we've broke this off. I am simply trying to open this pipe here. And we leave the vice grips on there so we can get it open. I heard some grain flowing, so we're officially sucking the sweep tunnel area out on this. All three bins are running. Well, 2 bins are on the tunnels and 1's on the sweep. Not very often we get to drive the day cab. Take the white truck for a spin. It's a 2008 Kenworth T800 day cab. It's got a 425 horse ISM. Doing a quick tire inspection, seeing how everything's going there. We're gonna have 3 bins that are all gonna be sweeping today. Need some progress on this. We just got this pile right there left. When I get back from hauling the load, let's hop in here and start scooting this to the center. When we get done, we'll have a nice shiny floor. Now these have a little maintenance to them. The gearbox here, we always check the oil levels in. A lot of times they'll shear these bolts off. You can see that one's double nutted. We've definitely been in there. Another thing, there's a chain that needs tension that's under the floor in here. And let's talk about the worst thing that can happen to you with these power sweeps. So we buried the sweep on the floor in here, and the tunnels are underneath this sweep. So when I open those tunnels, it pulls down and exposes this sweep. So it'll turn. Well, when it's buried, if you engage it, it breaks this chain off that's inside here, and you have to dig and dig and dig to get to that. The grain wants to flow, constantly buries it. It's a bad thing. So we're all really mindful of that, and we make sure the sweeps are disengaged, and before we fire the bins for the first time, we always disengage them. When we stop cleaning the bin, we try to make a point to do that, because we have flipped it on. You hear that chain break and you know that's going to be a bad day. Now while we're in here, we'll take a broom. Some of these, the bolts leak just slightly, and you'll get a little bit of this debris stuck on the wall. It pops right off there. Usually the worst areas are around the doors, and you try to seal them best you can. There's always a little leakage there. Now these doors, I always like those. Conrad bins actually is where we bought those through Jason Knopp, but you can see how those line up on those pins. Big Allen bolt for a pin. Keeps your bin from separating. And then you have a bottom full ring, and you always want that, as I talked before, the bin we had with the door in the bottom immediately wants to separate. different door. It's got a direct shaft and gears that open the door. The Wilson actually has what they call strap doors. It's a little different. I don't know. I think it's pretty cool to have one of each myself, but I guess I'm a little more of a Wilson guy, even though we do own two Timotys. It's like Chevy versus Ford, not much difference. 2008 Kenworth's got the newer dash versus our other three. It's pretty cool at night the way the dash lights up. It's like a low profile airbag. Day cab, it rides rough. I'm one of those older guys. I like the big long trucks, they ride easy. We get our 04 back, our red 04 blue and airbag. We have it at Big Rig Repair now, getting the airbags done. I've done 16 airbags, so we've only got one truck that's not going to have the airbags done now, this truck, so I'm sure it's next. So I got a text from Big Rig, and he said there's a puddle under the truck, which is common for our trucks, but this is a big puddle. Said the power divider's leaking, and he's going to look into it. I guess our red truck's going to be down. We've got a third truck on the end dump. Oh, you can get 950 bushels on the end dump, 900 pretty easy. Doesn't have an automatic tarp. Tarp's kind of, you fight in a lot on one of those. We're actually the second owner on this truck. Had 400,000 miles when we got it. The truck was on a wet kit, and it must have idled a lot and racked the hours up. We've got quite a lot. There's a lot of hours on it, but that's real great for what we're doing. So these Timothy doors, you can see right here, just a direct drive deal. They work really well. They've got bearings on these rollers that go out. And on the Wilson, they just have a little nylon idler. It doesn't really wear out. So there's the ups and downs to both. Bearings a little heavier duty. There's a little difference in them. I'll show you the strap doors sometime. Now this is a spring ride trailer. Bought it at an auction, had a good price. Our Wilson's an air ride. Now we'll go back and get in the bin, start doing a little sweeping. Grind them until you find them. Noah's been loading while I was in line. You can see our sweeps ran all the way around. Now our tunnels. Let's see, right there. So there's a sweep tunnel. When we're done, it's closed now. When we're done, we pull this sweep back, and then when we open this, it uncovers this sweep later. That's how we leave the power sweeps in. Those sweep tunnels I was talking about. There's another one. There's 3 of them on this particular bin. So I'm going to grab a mask and a broom, and we're going to start pushing to the center. The door for access to your sprocket is right here. I'm not going to do it at this moment. It just simply lifts up, and that's where that chain I was talking about is that runs underneath to drive that. The chain's in here. Another gearbox down below to check. So there's rebar in the sweep tunnel, or
it normally runs this way. So maybe if we get it to turn that way to slow up, we may not need the
pipe wrench after all. We had a tunnel plugged. No, it was in there with a piece of rebar. I guess it's stuck. So what we're going to do is reach out here and spin this.
Get it? Okay, that got the rebar. I've had that happen before. Let's see what we got.
We just wanted a shepherd's hook, didn't we?
Yeah, custom. We just customized it. My vice grips on the bin when we did this. The unload was over there and it got moved to hook this leg, and something didn't match up. That's why that didn't get reinstalled. I'll flip the leg back on. Got the rebar out. Let's see if he's got this unplugged. He went around the corner to flip it on. So right there you can see the sweep tunnels are pulling down so we can get our sweep exposed. Otherwise it's buried. I was just talking to him about the chain that we don't want to break with the sweep auger. So what we'll do, we'll let this run for a minute, make sure that corn's done pushing on the sweep. Then we'll reach out here, we'll flip it off, we'll engage the sweep by pulling, and then this bin will start its sweep auger process next. Going over here, this bin, sweep tunnels, as you can see, it's almost exposed. So we'll be engaging that sweep as soon as it stops pulling. It'll be able to be engaged. Now you'll have a little corn left over. You can see it's not completely exposed. The main thing is it's not completely buried. If it's buried, it will break that chain. It's slow going at the last, and make sure you get all of that out. Just going to kind of come in here while this is off. The other two are running. So we have trucks running, loading. So as I pull this off the wall, I'll come back around and the sweep will run up the edge. I'm explaining myself to the camera that's up there. I'll get a broom and broom this off. We got pieces here. These just come off, but they got to be touched. You see, it takes it way down. It's not very deep when it's done. Just let it run a few times around, get all the corn we can get. No sense in doing things we don't have to do. Well, that probably looked a little scary. We had a power flicker of some sort and it shut our leg down, and when it does, it plugs it solid. We're in the process of opening that up. There it is. Same grain I just shoveled a few minutes ago. There's that back legging I was talking about. It just spit it out. So the leg, let's see, it's traveling this way. It had the back leg because what happens is when it stops, it gets some stuck up there. All those have to return and come out. That's how I want to describe it. I call it back legging. So we just had to take any corn that was there when it stopped, and it had to come back out the bottom. Then you can refire as we have. Then we just got to shovel this stuff up. We'll get to that. Now that our leg's back unplugged, we'll go back to our sweeping. This thing around one more time, I'm gonna go get the broom. today, sent out our bin payment. We built that bin in 2018, did a 10-year loan on it. Payment on it's just under 10 cents a bushel, so it works out pretty good. But yeah, 2018 was the first year, 10 years, so 2028 that big bin pays off. It'd be the last of the bins that we're paying on. 2030 we actually would be paying a dryer off. So time flies when you're having fun. Take our pick there. Got our main wet bin sweeping. And progress being made in the third wet bin. Well, we got 3 bins sweeping. I'll see you in a bit. While the trucks are in line, I'm going to go ahead and start brooming up. When the trucks get back, we'll turn the sweep on one more time. So I'm going to bring you back here and show you what I was talking about earlier. Oh, we got a mouse. That's normal. So right here's this is what engages the sweep. You can see this comes in, runs this gearbox. This comes in, runs this gearbox that turns this sweep. This is the sprocket that I changed to slow it down. But anyway, if that sweep is buried and you fire this up with this engaged, it breaks this chain. When it breaks that chain, that's buried. So that's the problem. When it happens, it makes for a bad day. Main wet bin. You can see it's spent, the sweep's slowed down on it as well. We clean this bin several times during season, but you can see it gets all the wet corn. We got that picked up. It's lunchtime. Lunch has arrived. So I'm going to start pulling off the wall in the wet bin while we're loading the truck, just to get a jump on it. Sweep's making some progress. Doesn't look like we got any real bad things. That stuff needs to come off the wall. We'll have to look into that, but well, we'll get to it. This wheel on the end right here actually touches the floor, and that's what's feeding this sweep. It keeps feeding it into the pile. Sukup did a pretty good job there. These work fairly well, last a long time. Well, it looks like that's going to do it today. We've got this bin and that bin cleaned out. This third one here, it's going to be down, but we're going to run out of truck room. Ethanol plant's closed in the morning. So we'll slide down here, fill the other truck that's coming back, and finish that bin tomorrow. Welcome to mud season. Seems like it's always muddy when we're hauling. Had some freezing rain last night, so everything's a little icy. See what I did there? I'm starting it from the side. Definitely check to make sure it's not in gear. It's always a good idea. Checking everything out, make sure we're not got anything that's going to make our leg plug. Luckily this morning, the conveyor does not have to run. We've been unloading this bin. It's down to the floor and clean. So the conveyor doesn't run, just our cross auger, this bin. So I'm going to walk around and check everything out. Two down, two to go. The main thing's being careful. There's still ice and climbing around things. I'm not going to be climbing around on the truck, any of those type things. So I'm going to let the sweep auger run around and around for a little bit. And I'm going to start pushing the pile to the center. This is a 36-foot bin. We've got 30s, 36s, 248s, and we have one 60-foot bin for sizes. Fire up our leg. Make sure that rolls. We have a phase converter that runs this cross auger that has to run. And from there, we're actually single phase over here. Motor's a little larger being single phase, but works out. Now we get a little sloppy around here. Somebody needs to haul some stone. We always have said we were going to build another bin when one pays off, and we recently paid our second 48-foot bin off. We're still making payments on our 60-foot here in the distance. So, bin and concrete, I'm trying to remember exactly. You're in the 150 to 180 range for a bin like that. Just a shell in the concrete, no electric. And that same thing's, it's double now. So in 2018, when we built that bin, you're easily twice the price right now from the quotes I've seen. I question whether we should be building another one or not. It's going to be more one of those things where you don't have two bin payments run at one time. You've got multiple bins making payments on one bin, apparently. That's changed in our time. Generally, you could get a bin pretty easy, make the payment with the carry to December, usually in March especially you can, most years. But going forward, the price of another bin, another 10-year mortgage, well, we'll have to cross that bridge when it comes. Okay, it finally caught up. It was slipping the belt. Combination of ice and I'm sure it had a slug. The only thing I dislike, these 45s, we had to use them on these old bins when we replaced the unloads. They typically want a plug right here, and when it does, it locks up solid. Now the fix we found for that is we actually have holes bored in all of our 45s. We just release the hose clamp, we let the slug out, and then you don't have to take that unload apart. Brian drilled the first one. I question whether we should be drilling them, and you know, we've drilled them all. The business end. I've already been in pulling off the walls here. I talked about it before, but we've slowed this sweep down as well. We did so because wet corn pulls harder. Questioned if it would slow down the unloading much. When we're unloading out of the 3 bins at the same time, it's not noticeable. I definitely recommend it if you're unloading anything above 15% corn, slowing the sweep down. Here's we've stopped flowing. Kill the cross auger. This is actually solid ice. I started to get in the bin and realized I don't have one of the dust masks. I want to have at least our basic mask on. They make full face masks. We've tried that. You just get to sweating so much when you're shoveling. Fog a lot now, but you even fog in the hotter months. See right here, same scenario. We actually used a little poly there. But you loosen this hose clamp, that slug comes out. This wet bin, so if you have to pull the unload to split this, it's all connected up through here. It's just not fun. We had to use a chain hoist, big piece of steel to go across there to hold that up. We've had to do it before because the U-joint that's down inside here, they go out too. So it's doable, but you don't want to do it for a slug, only if you're going to do some kind of a U-joint. So there's our unload. It comes straight in, and it's under the floor here, and there's our sweep tunnel. And you know there's another one in line right here. And see, our sweep sits there, and we bury it. We open these tunnels so we can leave the sweep in here. Here's our door. So I'm gonna push more to the center, and we'll hop out and let that sweep run around again. Condensation makes this stick. Putting wet corn in the bin, pulling in and out. Get back in and move a little more to the center. Same routine. Broom this last little bit up, and this 36-footer will be complete. Just like that. Probably the last pile to run the sweep around. I'll open these tunnels right here. You can see that now. There's 4. When we get done, we'll line our sweep up just to the back side of them. Right here. When they suck down, it exposes your sweep. You're going to engage it and it goes. Almost. We'll hop out, open the sweep tunnels. Our sweep tunnels open. Now they have a safety feature to keep you from stepping in, but it plugs, so we cut those out. We just stay away from it if those are open. I'm going to push the rest of this in and we're going to be done. I'll disengage the sweep. We're going to set it right here. Right there works. So we're right ahead of the tunnels, our position. You can see, so as soon as you open those, it's just going to uncover that sweep. Otherwise, it just pulls from the center. Practice makes perfect, they say, so hopefully see you around. Thanks for watching.